In 1324, a king left West Africa carrying more gold than any single ruler in all of recorded history. 60,000 people walked with him across the Sahara toward Mecca, toward Arabia, toward Egypt, and beyond. 12 tons of gold dust moved through the ancient world in a single royal procession that would take many months. His name was Mansa Musa, ruler of the Mali Empire, the wealthiest individual in all of recorded human history. Every economy he passed through collapsed in his wake. The economic damage lasted 12 years after he had gone. Most people have never once been taught his name. That absence is not an accident. It is a deliberate historical choice. The Mali Empire at its height controlled more than half of all gold in the known world, half of everything mined. At its greatest extent, the empire stretched from the Atlantic coast deep into the Sahara, larger than Western Europe entirely. Mansa Musa inherited this empire in 1312. He would rule for 25 years of expansion and unprecedented wealth. Under his rule, Timbuktu became the most important center of scholarship, law, and gold trade in the medieval world. He commissioned the Jinguereber Mosque, funded libraries, and built universities. That mosque still stands in Timbuktu today. In 1324, he fulfilled the Islamic obligation of the Hajj. He was going to Mecca. He went at unprecedented scale. 80 camels each carried 300 pounds of gold dust. 12,000 servants attended the king directly on the journey. The route went north through the Sahara, east across North Africa through Egypt, then south toward Mecca and Medina. At every city along the route, Mansa Musa gave gold freely, to mosques, to the poor, to every ruler hosting him. The Catalan Atlas of 1375 depicted Mansa Musa as the wealthiest king alive. It still exists in Barcelona today. Egyptian scholar al-Umari wrote about this pilgrimage 30 years after it happened. He interviewed eyewitnesses in person. Al-Umari documented that Mansa Musa gold flooded Cairo markets so severely that gold prices fell and stayed fallen for years. His account is a primary source written by someone who interviewed witnesses directly. It is not myth or legend at all. Arab historian Ibn Khaldun also recorded the Mali pilgrimage and its economic disruption across the entire medieval region. His account confirmed the route, the scale of the gold given away, and the regional market collapse that followed for years. The Catalan Atlas was made in 1375 by Abraham Cresques of Majorca, the finest world map of its era. At the center of West Africa, the atlas shows Mansa Musa on a throne, a gold nugget raised above his head. This image circulated among European merchants and rulers. The Mali Empire was known, documented, and respected in medieval Europe. Yet none of those merchants taught their children who Mansa Musa was. The knowledge existed. The teaching was simply withheld. At the height of Mali power, Timbuktu libraries held over 700,000 manuscripts. Many survive in private collections today. To understand the full economic collapse, you must first understand how medieval gold markets actually functioned across the region. Before 1324, gold was deliberately scarce in Egypt and the Levant. That scarcity was what gave gold stable value. The gold dinar was the primary currency of the medieval Islamic world. Its stability depended on controlled, predictable supply. When Mansa Musa entered Cairo in 1324, his caravan held more gold than Egypt's entire annual treasury revenue combined. He stayed in Cairo for 3 months. He gave gold to every mosque, every official, and every beggar he encountered there. Within weeks, Cairo had more gold than it had ever held. What had been scarce was now everywhere. Prices rose sharply. Al-Umari documented that Cairo gold market took 12 full years to recover its previous value after Mansa Musa had left. The disruption spread from Cairo to Alexandria to Medina. Every city connected to Mediterranean gold trade felt the full collapse. Mansa Musa recognized what he had done. On his return, he borrowed gold from Cairo merchants to remove excess currency. The wealthiest person in history borrowed gold to repair damage caused by giving too much gold away. This actually happened. 51 years after the pilgrimage, the Catalan Atlas still showed Mansa Musa as the most famous king in the world. European merchants knew his name clearly in 1375. European schools would stop teaching it shortly thereafter, permanently. The gold that funded the European Renaissance came from West Africa. The mines were in Mali. Portugal received the credit instead. Portuguese traders reached West Africa in the 1400s and named it the Gold Coast. The gold was already there. Portugal named it. Portugal traded it. European history recorded it as Portuguese discovery. Mali disappeared entirely from the account. The one who names the thing gets the credit. The one who built it is forgotten. This pattern repeats throughout history. Historian Nehemiah Livzion spent his career reconstructing Mali's full economic record systematically from Arabic primary sources. He cross-referenced al-Umari, Ibn Khaldun, and over 30 other Arab historians to build a complete portrait of Mali's reach. In 1352, Ibn Battuta visited the Mali Empire and documented its courts, markets, and legal system in precise detail. His account described a civilization of order, scholarship, and wealth, surpassing anything he had encountered across 3 continents of travel. Mali maintained its history through griots, specialist oral historians who memorized and transmitted the record of every single reign. When European scholars encountered griots, they classified their work as folklore, not history, not evidence, not a legitimate record. The distinction between oral and written history was a European classification. Mali never accepted it or recognized that division. History in a form Europeans could not read was classified as no record at all. The dismissal was a deliberate choice. Timbuktu manuscript collections prove Mali had sophisticated written culture in Arabic alongside its oral tradition at the same time. After 1324, Arab scholars documented Mali as the center of medieval gold trade. That documentation stayed in Arabic. When Portugal reached West Africa in the 1400s, they described discovery, not entering an empire that already existed. They described the gold as found and waiting, not as something organized and traded for 8 centuries before their arrival. Once the gold was called discovered, the civilization that produced it for 8 centuries was reclassified as background noise entirely. The 1375 atlas showed Mansa Musa prominently. European maps after 1400 showed a blank continent in his place. The cartographers did not lose the information. They chose different sources that served colonial European political purposes. A continent depicted as empty could be treated differently than one with a documented, wealthy, and sophisticated civilization on it. The blank map was not ignorance, it was preparation. A continent without a documented past is simpler to extract resources from. 19th century European universities assumed African history began with European contact. That assumption shaped every subsequent textbook written. The Great Mosque of Djenné, rebuilt under Mansa Musa's successors, is the largest mud brick structure in the entire world today. The wealthiest person in all of recorded human history. The most consequential medieval economic event, left entirely out of your textbook. There is now a statue of Mansa Musa in Mali. His face is on West African currency. His name is returning. 1324. The caravan leaves at dawn. The gold moves. An entire region's economy will not recover for 12 years. The road still exists in trade patterns, in town names, in routes that carried gold before Europe knew it was there. The silence around Mansa Musa was not what history forgot. It was what history chose. The record waited in Arabic, intact.